Good evening. This is Making the Case. I'm Yodit Tewolde. For more than a year now, Congress has been talking about police reform. Lawmakers rallying around the name George Floyd said they would come together to find common ground to prevent more police killings. But a few days ago, congressional leaders threw in the towel instead, pointing fingers across the aisle as talks aimed at passing the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act came to an unceremonious end. Those same lawmakers and even President Biden have since said their work to pass the bill will continue. But for many, actions speak louder than words, and frustration is boiling over. Joining me now is Shareeduh Tate, one of George Floyd's cousins and the president of the George Floyd Foundation. Also with us, Dr. Hans Meadows, who's vice president of law enforcement initiatives at the Center for Policing Equity. Good to have you back with us, Shareeduh, and Dr. Meadows, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Shareeduh, I want to start with you. We're coming up on 6 months since Derek Chauvin was convicted of killing George Floyd. And that conviction meant some accountability for you and your family, but passing legislation in George's name was also very important and meant a great deal. So what was your first thought when you saw that Congress essentially gave up on George Floyd Justice and Policing Act in passing that act?
Well, I was extremely disappointed because one of the things that, made us have some level of patience with it was because, the talks were continuing and we felt like they were moving in the right direction. And so when everything came to what I consider a screeching halt, it was very disappointing.
Dr. Meadows, you're with the Center for Policing Equity. First, tell us more about your organization and why your work is important.
First, thank you for having me, and I appreciate being here to discuss this important issue. CPE focuses on police reform. Our goal is to make police less violent, less racist, and less deadly. We want to do that by focusing on police data and by uplifting the voice of people and communities. And that's important in these cases because our work focuses on the local level, right? I mean, we're heavily engaged in federal legislation, but most of our work focuses on city managers, mayors, police chiefs, and what they need to do to drive change in their local jurisdictions. And when federal legislation fails, like it did here, it's incredibly important and even more important that the local officials take up the charge and create change in their local areas of the country.
Now, you're an advocate for holding police accountable, but you also work directly with law enforcement agencies. Can you tell us what those relationships are like and what you see through those partnerships?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, it's for me, it's not even so much about accountability, while that's super important, and I am an advocate for that, but limiting the opportunity for police to need to be held accountable. So for us, having the conversation with police chiefs and communities about what we can do to right-size policing, shrink the footprint of policing, eliminate contacts between police and residents are not necessary. And then, of course, finding opportunities to hold folks accountable if they do wrong is also important. And so most police leaders on some level, at least the ones that work with us directly, understand that in 2021, this is necessary. We're past the days where we are suggesting it's just a few bad apples or that tinkering around the edges of a system are enough and will meet the demands of the community. We're just not there anymore. Where we are now is a conversation on reimagining and remaking policing to be the right size and have the right responder at the right contact with communities.
Shareeduh, I want to get your reaction to a story we've covered on BNC. A statue honoring your cousin George was vandalized for the second time in New York City. What does it say about society right now when so many are fighting for reform, for justice, equality, that we still see acts like this happening across the country?
Well, I would like to say that this type of thing is surprising to me, but unfortunately, as many people who were supportive of our family and were backing us, there were just as many who weren't happy, with our pursuit of justice for George. And so it isn't surprising to see this kind of thing, but what's important is that we don't let it push us off the focus, and that is still pushing toward getting this Policing Act passed.
You once said Well, actually, I want to get your thoughts on that same story that I just mentioned from you, Dr. Meadows. What were your thoughts in terms of, you talk about this reimagining of policing in this country and having more conversation. Some people are beyond conversation. Some people want action. And some of that may be displayed in sort of the acts that we're seeing in terms of going against the talks of defunding the police and taking it out on statues of George Floyd that basically represented a huge movement last summer. So what were your thoughts?
Well, first, how disgusting. How and where are we as a country? But looking at this historically, this is what Black communities have faced for over 400 years. Something horrible happens, an atrocious act, a loss of life that is inexcusable, that is ultimately whitewashed and ultimately discussed as if it didn't really happen, is that the victim needs to be blamed. And this happens over and over and over and over again. I mean, we saw it in a similar vein with the vice president calling the January 6th riots just another day in January. And it's just a regular pattern of whitewashing and minimizing the pain of Black people and Black communities. And so I'm disgusted by it. I'm hurt by the lack of legislation. I'm disgusted by the behavior of many people around the country. But unfortunately, I'm not surprised. It's what we've seen for literally hundreds of years.
Shareeduh, you once said that you were optimistic about the passing of the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. Are you still optimistic?
Well, I think I said pessimistically optimistic, and somebody asked me that not too long ago, and I'll be honest with you. At this point, I feel like that we're at a place where the president needs to step in and take some action. Particularly when they said we're not doing this anymore, and they had basically thrown in the towel. My thing is that there was a lot of discussion about this act and the importance of it. And I just feel like it's at a place where, it's time to put into action. It's time to show us and demonstrate what you really feel about it.
Well, what is your message to those still out there fighting for police reform in your cousin's name? How do we keep that momentum going?
Well, I think one of the things that we have done, is, with the foundation and our family from the very beginning, we have been committed to, making sure that we're out here and we are continuing to be the face, despite of the fact that, it may start to die down and it's not the top story for other people. Unfortunately for us, it's always going to be something that we can't help but think about. So I think that we just continue to go out. I mean, I attend functions, marches, protests. I go to get involved in legislation. I help with voters registration. I think it's just really, really important for us as a family to continue to be out here and to make people understand that we see those folks who are committed to it, and we are just as committed, if not more than, those people who are trying to fight for justice.
Shareeduh Tate, always a pleasure having you on. Thank you so very much. Dr. Meadows, we've got more to discuss, so you're staying with me. More Making the Case when we return. Tonight, we're talking about moving forward with police reform after Congress dropped the ball on George Floyd's Justice and Policing Act. Back with me is Dr. Hans Meadows, the Vice President of Law Enforcement Initiatives at the Center for Policing Equity. All right, Dr. Meadows, you're outspoken about the need for reform in law enforcement, but are you surprised by how Congress has allowed this whole thing to drag on?
No, I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm frustrated, but not surprised. As I said before, we've seen this before, where folks, especially folks in power, fail to hear the call and the demands of Black communities. The murder of George Floyd happened less than 1 year ago. Just over 1 year ago. The largest uprising by communities is just over a year old. The conviction is just over 5 months old, and Congress had the opportunity to meet these demands, to meet these needs, these common sense reforms that would have helped hold police accountable and prevent future atrocities. And it's just not happening. And I think the reality is that most people, when they hear about these efforts for reform, are pessimistic. don't believe that there's any real effort to change, and don't really believe that our leaders want to do anything meaningful because we have an addiction to policing, and that what we know to be true is that we spend every single day responding to disinvestment, responding to racism with policing. That's what we've done. That's what we continue to do. And while we continue to see that happen, it's tough for folks to believe that the people in charge, our leaders, are really here to help us and really want to create change.
Well, let's talk about the breakdown in Congress. Qualified immunity. That was one of the huge sticking points. Should this have been a deal breaker?
So, I think ultimately at CPE, we're trying to ground our positions in what the community wants. Community does want accountability. They are tired of the idea that a police officer has a special exception when they commit a crime, that a police officer is not held accountable the same way when they commit a crime. Should that have been the reason why the other very, very, very common sense or reasonable and important aspects of the bill weren't passed? I don't believe so, but there are community members that ultimately that is a sticking point for them. So it really depends on who you ask. From my perspective, there's so much that could have been done in this bill that if qualified immunity, I'm not sure if I'm not familiar with that being the only reason that the bill didn't pass, was the only reason it didn't pass, then it obviously could serve more consideration than one point of a very, very complex bill.
Well, a lot of people don't believe that this all falls on Congress, right? Many have been saying for months that President Biden isn't doing enough to pressure lawmakers to act. Does the president have the responsibility to do more?
Absolutely. I think there's no question there. The president was elected by Black communities, has invoked the name of George Floyd over many years, and has commented on the idea that he will pass this bill. He'll move this forward. I believe that as the chief executive of the country, as the president of the United States, it is incumbent upon him to respond to the will of the people. And that the people have spoken. Ultimately, what they want is more police reform. They want more accountability for police. And they want their president to step in. They want their president to use his powers, to use his influence to push that forward for them.
Dr. Meadows, some activists, including the movement for Black Lives, are already turning their attention to another bill, the BREATHE Act. It focuses on divesting from police and investing in non-punitive programs in public health. In your opinion, is that enough?
So I don't know that we need to look at this as one size fits all. I think that in many situations that absolutely is important. What communities need, as I said before, what communities that are suffering from disinvestment do need programs that are non-punitive. Our young people don't need a police officer with a badge and a gun if they're truant from school. A person suffering from addiction does not need an officer with a badge, a gun, and arresting powers when what they need is treatment. And the same for homeless people, for people experiencing mental illness. So much of our response is an addiction to a punitive response. And what we know is other responses are better for public safety, they're cheaper, they're better for people, and have better outcomes for communities. So I'm a huge proponent of those efforts and a larger focus on public safety and public health, and the general idea that public safety is not policing. Public safety is all of our social systems, it's our education, it's our built-in environment, it is our services for addiction, for mental health, etc. Those are all public safety. And yes, in some smaller part, policing is part of public safety. But often when we have the conversation on public safety, we're thinking, who are the guys with the guns? And that's just not the way it is. The BREATHE Act focuses on public safety in a smarter way by saying, here are the social determinants that get us, that get us to public safety by focusing on upstream issues as opposed to acute issues in real time. So I'm a big proponent of it, but I recognize that we need multiple bills, including actual police reform bills, on top of actions, I should say, that increase and expand the definition of public safety.
Now, you mentioned earlier that your work your organization focuses on local agencies. So with leaders in Washington dragging their feet, what can state and local leaders and everyday people in our communities do to advance this fight and the fight for substantive police reform?
Incredibly important. I think that ultimately that's where we are. Our work right now has to be community driven and locally driven. So we have mayors and city councils and police chiefs around the country, city managers around the country, who are recognizing that they have power to do things like shrink the size of their police department. They have access to their own data, their 911 call data, their officers' data on how they spend their time. And what they can do is really understand what activities are officers engaging in that they don't need to engage in, and who is the right responder, who is the person they should be sending instead. And like some cities are recognizing, what should we just not be doing at all? What are activities that police officers and really no one needs to be engaging in? And so if our mayors, if our city managers, if the people who control the budget around the cities around the country are to start thinking this way, like the city of St. Louis is preparing to do, what the city of Ithaca is doing, what the city of Berkeley is doing, and understanding how do we right-size policing, then we'll have less of a need for federal reform. And that federal reform will really be focused on police departments that need to be dragged along, as opposed to those that have good leadership around the country, and we'll see that distinction. So it's the local efforts are incredibly important. That doesn't minimize the importance of the federal efforts, but the two need to happen in tandem. And of course, it would be great if the federal government would lead, but it's just not happening right now. So we need our cities to lead.
Dr. Hans Meadows, Vice President of Law Enforcement Initiatives at the Center for Policing.